President Luong Quang begins state visit to Angola.
Trump could meet Putin as early as next week.
Nghệ An mobilizes all resources to rebuild homes for flood victims.
Hello, so good to see you again in today's news. I'm Hoàng Yên, and here we go, the first headline of the show. The Vietnamese President Lương Cường and his spouse and a high-level Vietnamese delegation have arrived in Luanda, the capital of Angola, beginning a state visit to the Republic of Angola at the invitation of the host country's president.
President Luong Quang's visit to Angola is a significant event, coinciding with the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. The visit is expected to strengthen bilateral cooperation and usher in a new phase of development in Vietnam-Angola relations. During his stay, President Luong Quang is scheduled to hold talks with the President of Angola and other senior officials. He will also meet with the Vietnamese community in Angola and attend a ceremony celebrating 50 years of diplomatic ties. The visit affirms Vietnam's respect for Angola and aims to promote more substantive, effective, and sustainable cooperation. It also contributes to strengthening ties between ASEAN and the African Union, AU, of which Angola currently holds the rotating chairmanship.
White House officials said U.S. President Donald Trump is planning a direct meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin as early as next week to push for a solution to the more than 3-year-long Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Very good prospect that they will.
According to U.S. media, Trump shared this intention during phone calls with European leaders and affirmed that the U.S. is ready to ramp up its diplomatic role in the peace process. If it takes place, this would be the first direct meeting between a sitting U.S. president and the Russian leader since Russia launched its special military operation in Ukraine. A White House spokesperson confirmed that Russia has expressed interest in the meeting, and Trump is willing to engage in dialogue with both the Russian and Ukrainian leaders to promote a solution to end the conflict. The announcement follows a 3-hour meeting in Moscow between Russian President Putin and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Trump described the talks as effective and constructive, but reiterated that if Moscow does not agree to a peace deal by the August 8 deadline, the U.S. will activate new sanctions.
Meanwhile, the U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order raising tariffs on goods imported from India to 50%. He also announced a record-high tariffs on imported pharmaceuticals and semiconductors unless they are produced in the U.S.
The newly signed executive order states that the U.S. has decided to impose an additional 25% tariff on Indian goods, on top of the 25% already in effect since August 7th, bringing the total to 50%, making India one of the highest taxed trade partners of the U.S. The decision is aimed at penalizing India for continuing to purchase Russian crude oil, an action Washington sees as indirectly supporting Russia's war effort in Ukraine. In addition to India, Trump has ordered federal agencies to review other nations that also import oil from Russia for similar action. On the same day, Trump announced a plan to impose a 100% tariff on imported semiconductors and chips, and warned that he could raise tariffs on pharmaceuticals up to 250%, the highest level ever proposed. These moves are part of Trump's broader effort to protect domestic industries and reshape global trade.
Upcoming are some updated news.
According to data released by the General Statistics Office and the Ministry of Finance, Vietnam's import-export activities continue to show positive growth. In July 2025 alone, total trade turnover reached $82.27 billion, up 8% from the previous month and 16.8% year-over-year. For the first 7 months of 2025, total trade volume hit $514.7 billion, up 16.3% year-over-year, with exports increasing 14.8% and imports up 17.9%. The trade surplus stood at $18 billion.
More than VND 5,000 billion, will be invested to build 21 new ethnic boarding schools for both primary and lower secondary education in border communes of Nghệ An province. The investment is part of Politburo Directive No. 81, aiming to establish standardized facilities that ensure safe and adequate learning and living conditions for students. The schools will include over 1,000 classrooms, serving more than 39,000 students, of whom over 30,000 will study and live on campus. The project is expected to be completed in the next 2 to 3 years, enhancing education quality and human resources development in border regions.
The Asia Mathematics Olympiad Committee has announced the results of the international final round of the Asia International Mathematical Olympiad, AMO, 2025 in Japan, which saw the participation of over 3,500 contestants from 21 countries and territories. The Vietnamese delegation, with 22 members, all won awards, bringing home 1 overall championship, 10 gold medals, 7 silver medals, and 4 bronze medals. The AMO championship was awarded to Phan Thanh Huy, a 12th grade student from Hanoi Amsterdam High School for the gifted.
The late July floods have caused severe damages to western communes of Nghệ An province, with over 7,000 homes damaged or buried. In response, the province is now rapidly implementing emergency housing support to help affected families to stabilize their lives. More in the story today.
Life was peaceful until the morning of July 22nd, when residents of 21 villages in the border commune of Non Mai suddenly found themselves with nothing, as their homes and possessions were swept away by the floodwaters.
Our house was swept away. Even the foundation is gone. There's nothing left.
In Ta Du village, Muang Tip commune, 2 consecutive flash floods on July 21st and 22 swept away 28 homes, forcing hundreds of people to take temporary shelter by the roadside under extremely difficult conditions.
It's heartbreaking because this village has been home to our ancestors for many generations, and now we have to leave because of the flood. We are very worried.
Immediately after the flood, Nghệ An provincial government and community organizations delivered essential supplies and set up temporary tents for affected families. Along with setting up temporary tents for shelter, efforts to survey and support the construction of permanent homes are being urgently implemented.
The Provincial Fatherland Front has advised local leaders to assess damage and support affected residents, while continuing to mobilize businesses and the public to help rebuild and repair homes so people can soon return to normal life.
To help villagers get permanent housing, the Ministry of Public Security will launch a 40-day campaign to build 500 homes and repair 500 severely damaged ones.
The Ministry of Public Security has conducted thorough and detailed surveys of location to build houses for local residents and schools for ethnic Polpols in border communes of Nghệ An province.
Recently, Prime Minister has urged a focus on overcoming the consequences of the disaster. He also required that resettlement and housing construction for displaced families be completed by September. The Central Relief Fund has allocated VND 65 billion to support housing repairs and construction in Nghệ An. Following the government's directives, Nghệ An province is mobilizing all resources to quickly rebuild houses, helping flood-affected residents stabilize their lives as soon as possible.
Now is the end of the show today. Thank you so much for your attention. Goodbye for now and see you later.